this week we are actually going to be talking about a few things I think you'd be really interested in to get your results. First thing is protein demystified. Why is protein important to get the results that you are striving for? The second thing is healthy bowel movements. Okay, that's very important. I know it's a subject that people kind of gleam over, but it's very important to understand that and how to select a good probiotics. I get the honor today of co-hosting with my mentor and good friend James Zhang. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The benefits of protein. Okay, I want to kind of help you understand the importance of protein, because if you understand why it's important to get the proper amount of protein in daily, the underlying daily, you got to have a daily consumption of protein, then you'll see your results. So not only does it help stabilize your blood sugar level, it improves your fat burning. Okay, that's what we really want to kick into. And it also, protein stimulates muscle building. So even at rest, when you have muscle, it continues to burn calories. So you need to understand that, and helps improve your learning and your memory. It gives you elevated positive mood. It's very important for heart health, as well as it helps slows down the aging. We all want to feel and look younger. Of course, it improves bone density. Now, you may be wondering, how am I going to calculate? How do I know if I'm getting the right amount of protein? Great question. We actually have a slide in Wellness 360 in Guide 1, Day 3. It actually calculates how to know the amount of protein that you need to consume. It's a calculation. I'll just gleam over it, but please study it. Basically, you take your body weight and you take your body fat. So if you don't have the Renfrew scale, it's a great way, or else you can Google it to figure out what body fat percentage you're at. But basically, for this example, 170 pounds, and if you're at 30% body fat, you take 30% times 170 is 51. You take that number and subtract it from 170, you get 119. That means you need to consume 119 grams of protein a day in order to be protein sufficient. Okay. Now, the next slide is going to help you understand, if you're going to get 119 grams of protein in a day, what does that look like? 30 grams of protein looks like this. 3 ounces of cooked lean beef. It's like the size of a deck of a car, because we don't always have a scale, and you may not have a measuring cup with you. Okay. And chicken breast is like 4 ounces. And grass-fed beef, you can kind of take a look at the slide. Eggs, 5 large eggs would be 30 grams of protein. So when you think about it, if you're having scrambled eggs for breakfast, that's only 30 grams of protein. That means for lunch, you need to eat chicken and also maybe a protein shake, because the Pure Nourish Natural with 3.33 scoops of Pure Nourish, it's around 30 grams. So if you're having your chicken and a shake, that's only 60 grams of protein. And you had another 30 for breakfast. So 30, 60, that's 90 grams of protein. You still have more protein you need to consume for dinner. Most of you are probably not eating enough protein. So it's very important to get the protein to build muscle, to burn fat. And so that's why I want you guys to understand the importance of protein and how much protein you really need. For someone that needs 119 grams of protein, it's quite a bit. So if you're not eating enough, that's why you're not burning the fat. Hemp seeds is a great source of protein, even like quinoa. So if you're making something like hemp seed, just throw some on top of your smoothie, put it in your salad. You can even put encrusted salmon. You could like crust with the hemp seeds and go ahead and bake it or pan fry it. There's a recipe on Wellness 360 for this hemp seed cookie. It's delicious. So I want to encourage you guys to kind of add extra protein. Even though you're eating protein, there's different ways you can add more into it. If you're having a smoothie or milkshake, put some hemp seed in there. And if you're doing quinoa's another good source of protein as well. So instead of having rice, this is a great alternative to get your protein in there. So the next slide, I'm actually going to hand it off to James. He's going to be talking about something else that's very important. Besides getting your protein in, we got to talk about that awkward subject about digestion. James, I'm going to hand it off to you to do the honors.
Thanks so much, Lily. That topic you just talked about totally was the biggest transformation of my entire health. Because most people, it's probably the number one thing that we've seen with our clients is they don't even know how much protein they eat. They don't know the importance of it. And when you ask them how much protein you have a day, they're like, huh? A lot?
So when I tell people, I recommend, I said, you know what? You can have some eggs before your dinner. So how am I going to sit down and eat 3 hard-boiled eggs before I eat my salmon? I said, then you can actually eat during the day, throughout the day. So you got to get your protein in and be creative. Like I said, just throw in the hemp seed.
Thanks for that. Yeah, and thanks for saving me for the fun slide. I'm going to talk about the topic that needs to be talked about that is so important. But who here likes to talk about poo? That's what we're going to talk about today. But healthy bowel movement, as much as it brings a smile to the face, is one of the most important parts when it comes to having a healthy body, having healthy weight loss, and so many different things as well too, because it deals with the gut. Did you know that your gut is known as a second brain? Your gut actually has more neurons, a ton of neurons in there, just like in the brain itself as well too. And in fact, your gut has around 70% of your immune system in there as well too. So there's stuff going on there. That's why when you look at your bowel movement, it's key. Now, what's normal, what's not? So I just want to let you know here that if you're pooing 3 times a day or between 3 times a week, there's like a big range, right? So I won't ask you what your bowel movements are like unless you want to let us know, but you don't have to. But just know that everyone's going to be a little bit different. However, you do want to make sure that at least you are pooing 3 times a week. At least. If it's not over 3 times a week, there's something that we should look at. Okay. Also, when you take a look at your stool itself, it should not be hard to pass. It should not be like really, really hard itself as well too. It should be a good color. In fact, look at this poo emoji. This is a perfect color for your poo. So it's like a medium brown color. None of those other colors. Anything else, it's probably not a good thing. It should be easy to flush. It should just go right down the drain and everything. And if you see things that are like undigested food in there, I won't name anything that you've seen but there before, but you've probably had that experience. That's not a good thing. And it showcases that there's something going on with your gut itself as well too. And actually the odor, it shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't be too bad because if your gut is digesting properly, then there shouldn't be too much smell itself. So I want us all to think to ourselves, how is my bowel movement? How is my stool health? Because from there, what you want to be able to look at is this. What are some things that we can do to make sure that our stool is healthy? So take a look. Here's 5 simple tips. Number 1, prioritize coconut oil as your main source of fat. Okay. This helps the digestive system a lot. And you might want to add in an extra tablespoon or 2 with each meal. Cook with coconut oil. Eliminate the processed stuff, eliminate the vegetable oils, all of that. A lot of this is actually causing a lot of inflammation to your whole body, including your gut as well too. So that simple swap can help you a lot. Good. Your poop is happy? Yes. We all want to have this poop emoji, this smile going on right there. Number 2, we also want to make sure you might want to consider taking some extra magnesium before you go to sleep. Specifically, we have a product called MagniCal D. Some of us call it Magical D because it does a lot of different things. But one of the big things it does is that it can help you with your digestion. Your digestive tract needs minerals. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals for muscle function. So if you get cramps, for example, that's magnesium is really important. There is something called peristalsis. It's a fancy word for your gut being able to squeeze out the goods. So if you don't have enough magnesium, then you're not going to be able to have that regularity that you need in your body and everything. Number 3, you also want to make sure that you can opt in for something like a Giving Greens. You might want to look at other high fiber foods as well too. We want to make sure that you're equipping your digestive system with things that are whole food veggies, sprouted seed nutrition, active digestive enzymes, so that you can break down the things that are in your gut so that you can eliminate that correctly as well too. So you got that going on. Number 4, drinking more water. We talked about water in some of our previous conversations as well. It is one of the top and easiest things that you can do to be able to help you to be able to eliminate better as well too. Okay. And number 5, something you're also going to want to consider is this: incorporate a probiotic. Incorporate a probiotic. Now, if you've been living at all, you've probably heard of the importance of probiotics. It's in yogurts. It's like advertised in everything. In any shake, they all say probiotics and stuff. I'm going to share with you the ultimate probiotic guide. And once you know this, then you're never going to have to go astray. You're never going to have to wonder again. But probiotics are important. What are probiotics, first of all? Probiotics are literal bacteria in your gut. These are good bacteria. Pro means good. Bio means alive. And this is the part in your body that actually helps you with digesting all different types of things in your gut. And in fact, did you know that a lot of the things that we're doing in our lives right now, for example, if you take medication, there's a lot of things that actually happen that are killing the bacteria in your gut. And we wonder why we have so many immune system issues. We wonder why we have so many digestive issues. It's because of how we eat, how we live. We're literally killing our body's best defense mechanism. So a probiotic supplement is a really good way to incorporate more, reboost what it is that your body needs, your digestive system needs, so that it can actually do all the beneficial things that we were just talking about as well too. So how do you select a good probiotic? Well, look at the bottom here. A couple of things you want to consider. You've probably been to Walmart, you've probably been to Costco, maybe you've seen it online or things like that. But first thing you want to look at is the bottle. You want to make sure you find a glass bottle, preferably a glass bottle that is tinted. And this is the reason why. When probiotics, because they're alive, when they're in plastic, they actually start to deteriorate. They actually start to lose potency right when it leaves the manufacturer. Also, if they're in a glass bottle that isn't tinted, light actually goes through the glass and it starts to destroy the bacteria. So one word that I want you to look at is this number called CFU. Perhaps you've seen that before, okay? And you'll see all these different numbers that sound like a lot. So 10 billion CFU, 50 billion CFU. And I don't know about you, but when I see those numbers, I'm like, oh, that's good. Billion sounds good. CFU is the measurement for the amount of colonies formed of bacteria. This is one of those cases, though, that higher is not necessarily better. What matters isn't how much they put into it. What matters is how much you receive when you put it in your body. Does that make sense? So how do you make sure that these bacteria are alive? You want to make sure you find a glass bottle, and you want to make sure it's a tinted glass bottle. You have those, it'll make sure that as much of the bacteria that was put in at manufacture will actually arrive in your system as well too. So number one, that. Number two, you also want to look at the strain diversity, the amount of strains that are in the probiotic. So if you look at the labels out there, you'll see all these fancy Latin words that I can't even pronounce, bacillus, blah, 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 whatever that it is. And they'll make it sound like it's really fancy. They're like, we got 10 billion of this one strand, or we got 3 strands, we got 5 strands. You want to make sure, because did you know there's over 100 trillion, that's a lot. A trillion is 1,000 billions, 100 trillion microorganisms in the gut. So you need a balance of the different types of strands that are out there. Okay. So you want to make sure there's one with a lot. And the final thing is this. Let's say you had the right bottle, and then let's say you had the right amount of strains. The last thing is you also want to make sure that your probiotic actually disintegrates at the right place at the right time. So for example, if you don't get the right type of capsuling, it'll start to dissolve in your mouth. And if you know your mouth has acids and stuff like that, it'll actually start to kill your bacteria, the probiotics, in your mouth before it even gets to where it needs to get to. What's our goal? Get as much of this active bacteria into where it needs to be at, which is your small intestine, in fully intact. So you got these soldiers going on that are alive and well and equipped to do what they need to do. I hope that makes sense. So one thing you want to consider is find an acid resistance, time released plant-based capsule. You want something that actually breaks down in a healthy way when it hits the small intestine. So why do we need these different types of things? Yeah, it gets killed by our stomach acid otherwise. You got to pass the stomach and get into the intestines. Now, there is a probiotic that this company offers called Probiotics, IIX. You get it? I like the wordplay that's going on. And what do you have in this one? Number one, you have 20 billion CFU of probiotics. That's a lot. Number two, you also have a veggie capsule with delayed release. This way, it actually goes into your small intestine and it starts to break down there so you can absorb the maximum. You also have not 1, not 3, not 5, not 10. You have 15 varied probiotic strains. So you have a whole balance of things. Lastly, you also have prebiotics in here. Okay, prebiotics are the food for the probiotics. So you want to make sure that your probiotics, when they get to your gut, they're alive still. So what's great about this probiotics, they give the soldiers food so they can last the journey as well too. And last thing actually is it also comes in a glass bottle that is tinted as well too. These are things people never look into. And the scientist that developed this, his name is Dr. Pena. He spent decades of his life researching and developing this. And the price point on this, I'm telling you this, for what it is so much better than any other probiotic in the market. I don't know how they pulled this off. But if you're going to consider probiotic, use this one. It is awesome. Okay, So that's talking about poo. Let's make sure your stool and your poo is cool. Your poo is cool. I hope you guys learned a lot from today. Thank you, Lily, for sharing a lot about protein.